Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Olivier Chiron from purechannelapps, and I'm delighted to have you coming on board today. Thank you for your time. Today, it's all going to be about communications. It's going to be about communications with your channel partners, either to them or through them, and you'll see it's going to become quite clear. This webinar is quite exciting. It's exciting for me because I'm not going to do much talking. And we'll come to that. Very, very quickly, for those who don't know us, purechannelapps is a software company that we started 7 years ago. We're all about driving brand engagement, and we do that today through 3 of our platforms. socialondemand, a social media advocacy platform, all about involving channel partners and employees in your social media activities, and we'll talk about this today. News on Demand, which is all about newsletters and targeted communications, and again, we'll talk about this today. And finally, something which we're not going to talk about today is our portal on demand, which are our portal platforms that we have developed today and have supported by a number of customers. But today is not about me, and by the way, I'm the guy in the middle. Today it's all about Juniper Networks and how they are improving the way they work with their partners, how they communicate with their partners, and how they market with their partners. And to do that, I'm delighted to have on board 2 of my customers, people I've known for quite a while now, people with whom we work, and we'll start with Roger. Roger is driving the News on Demand deployment for Juniper Networks globally. Roger, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm on the Juniper Partner Enablement team, where I've been working on partner enablement communications for 5 years now. First with agencies, which was kind of a painful experience, then using a custom publishing system that definitely sped up versioning of our newsletters, which was an effective bridge to the vastly enhanced capabilities we now have with News on Demand.
Thank you very much. And before I hand over to Louise, I also would like to say that we'll have plenty of time, I think, for question and answers at the end of this webcast. So please use the questions tab you see on your screen, and do feel free to ask all your questions all the way through this webinar, and we'll take those questions and try to answer as many as possible at the end of the webinar. However, without further ado, I also would like to introduce you to Louise Hunter, who is going to start today's discussions and focusing on the social aspect of their marketing with partners. Louise, would you like to talk about yourself and take it from here?
Okay, thanks, Olivia. Yes, my name's Louise Hunter, and I work in the EMEA partner marketing team, where I look after our through partner programs. And so for the purposes of today's call, I'm going to be talking to you about our social on demand instance, which we have linked into our marketing concierge program and also our partner portal as a fully joined up offering for partners. So we've been working with Juniper, with Pure Channels on social on demand for about 5 years now via one of our UK distributors. And prior to moving to social on demand for our own social media partner program, we were using an alternative social media syndication platform and also sharing posts via email. So whilst we understood that there was a value in providing this content to partners, and partners certainly appreciated the content they did receive, we also realised that the process and systems that you used to distribute the content to the partners was absolutely critical. And so we began a pilot with Social on Demand in about December 2015. It was ever so successful. We invited 20 partners to participate and initially had 100% participation. We did get a couple of dropouts over the course of the pilot, which was 6 months, but there were no dropouts that caused us concern. They were mainly around about organisation changes and a couple roundabout language uses, because we encouraged people, we ran the pilot in English only, but did have a small number of participants from outside the UK. At the end of the pilot, we did get really good feedback from all of the partners who were participating on it. And the pilot was particularly valuable for us because it enabled us to test the processes that we were using to identify and share the content, as well as getting the partners' direct feedback on the site. So we went live with a wider portal in the second half of of last year, and we spent some time working with Pure Channels to integrate with our single sign-on system before going live with the full tool in the end of January this year. And so this is what you will see if you log on to our system. We've integrated it, as I said, with our single sign-on system, so partners don't have any need to register for the tool individually. They just need to log on using their existing Juniper credentials. And the first thing that they will want to do when they go onto the tool is to connect their own social media networks. One of the big benefits of this tool is that partners can connect as many social media networks as they want. And we do have some real power users who are connecting, 10 to 15 Twitter accounts and managing, quite large portfolios of social media accounts through the single accounts. Mainly used by our partners are Twitter and LinkedIn. And importantly, the site does support both LinkedIn and Facebook company pages. We also see some good usage levels of Xing in Germany, so we're also providing that to the partners. Once the partner has connected their individual social network, then for each network individually, they can select the topics that they want to receive information about. And we offer, two ways to select the topics, by the style of the content and by the subject area of the content. And partners can also choose how they will handle that content. The default value is that they will edit and share the content manually, but they do have an option to ignore a whole content area or to share content automatically, which is something that is very useful for those busy times. I will, for instance, on my social media account, set content to share automatically if I go on holiday so that I maintain my social media presence when I'm away. But for the rest of the time, I'll be looking to edit the content I send out beforehand to make sure it's personalised to my own voice, and maybe differentiate myself from others who may be sharing similar content. So if we go on to the next slide, you'll see what partners receive to prompt them to send out the content. So if partners choose to receive alerts via email, they can also select to receive them either daily, weekly, or an option that we don't actually use at Juniper but is available on the Pure Channel apps is instantly a post is available. When they receive the email, they can simply click on the link provided to edit and share it, or they can opt to go into the portal itself and review a whole list of the historic topics. We also have an app for partners to use, so that those partners who are opted into using it have downloaded the app and chosen that as their communication preference will receive their notifications in the app itself. When they then look at the content on screen, and you'll see here 3 different ways that the same content is presented, and I consider this one of the great advantages, that you don't just get to edit and enhance every post that goes out, you also get to amend it and personalize it for the different networks that you're sharing it to. You can also importantly here on this screen schedule different times for distribution across the different social media networks. And that is very, very powerful for sort of respecting that there are different times of day, that sort of Twitter, LinkedIn and Facebook are particularly valuable times to share. So if we go on to the next slide, you'll see now the style of content as it appears on the selected networks. And this content here you can see has come from a number of different people, but basically looking at very similar content with graphics that may be changed and different formats according to the channels that they've sent out on. Each will have sent it out individually in their own voice. So for us, the benefits of social on demand are pretty clear. It is absolutely invaluable in terms of being able to serve fresh content to partners regularly. Important for our partners is that they need to keep their customers fully updated, in particular around about our launches and key announcements. And social on demand is one of the ways that we can ensure that relevant, timely content is in their hands to share with customers immediately. We find individuals within our partners are using social on demand to improve their positioning as trusted advisors on Juniper. It really helps them build credibility in their own markets, and with more and more salespeople using LinkedIn as a social selling tool, being able to have an ongoing voice within feeds within LinkedIn is really important to a lot of people. We do use the lead tracking function within social on demand, and we also use the gated content function so that when we are finding key campaign content that has a high value to the end customer, we do gate it and ensure that the partners then have direct access to the leads that are generated through that gated content. And that's something that we really do value. It improves the quality of content that we are able to share, because we don't really want to share content that is gated on our own network and not have it gated on third-party networks. It's also really valuable that we're able to upload documents directly onto the tool. So a real value add for our partners is that we're not constantly directing their users back to our .NET site, where maybe the customers could be redirected to our partner locator and therefore find one of the competitors. The partners are able to keep the content entirely within their own domain and know exactly who is browsing for their content. So moving forwards, we've now been working in what we call the full live version for just over 6 months. We've got 172 partners on the system globally, but we've got nearly 200,000 social followers, because we do find that there are multiple users per partner, and importantly, each user will likely have multiple accounts linked. We are looking now to actively grow that number of followers, and we are really using a lot of the functionality that we get as a vendor to understand where exactly we need to target our activities around about making our partners aware of the tool. We're able to pull out quite detailed reports by country showing where the users are, and that's really something that enables us to schedule the communications and plan for growth in the specific areas. We are also looking at expanding our coverage to more European languages next year, and we really do believe that we've got a tool that is one that has been successful for us, and very much our focus now is to continue to grow that success and improve the quality of the support that we're offering to our partners as a result. So
Thank you
that's
very much.
everything from me.
No, that's good. Thank you very much. I've take a breath, Louise, and if I may, we've already have a number of questions there. So whilst we are on the topic of syndications with partners, I'm not going to let you answer all these questions. There's quite a few there. Someone is asking, how do you do the content? Does it take long? Do you have an agency doing it? In terms of the initial content you share in the platform, do you do it? Is it done locally? Can you explain to us how it's done?
Lots of flexibility actually, and we do it in multiple ways. Globally, we have some core content that is shared, that is created by our central social media team based on one post a day, and that comes out of as I say, a globally created schedule. That we do use an agency to input, but we also augment the content with local programmatic-led content that is aligned to the specific go-to-market messages that we are using in country. And we do have users who input that content themselves. We've timed the input. It's really quick. Under 5 minutes to create a post, I think, is really good. And we also allow both partners and our own employees who are using the tool to suggest content to us. So they have the option of using the tool as a way to schedule their own content. And when they choose to use it to schedule their own content, they can also recommend that content to us as Juniper, and we can then reshare it more widely with the audience.
Okay, thank you very much. Last question, and then we'll hand over to Roger. I'm sure he's just waiting desperately to start his chat. You mentioned languages. So do you do the syndication in local languages? Have you done it? Is it delivering better results?
We do know very clearly that there are countries where we do need to provide content in local language. We have done some small tests in languages other than English, and we have found them successful. We're now looking at how we can work more closely with the owners of our local language social media properties throughout the world to share content and provide content via them in local language, probably looking at French and German as the first languages that we'd be going forward with. But yeah, we've got a very clear direction that whilst partners, there are a small number of partners who believe that social media should be English only. And that's throughout the world in all countries. There's always a few who say no, on social you've got to be speaking in English. So we do, but then equally we see a more significant number looking for their local language content.
Yeah, and I'll vouch for that. So thank you very much, Louise. I'm going to give you a little rest. We'll come back at the end. Now we're going to switch from that, and maybe the order of the slides is not right, but this is how life happens. And when we started to work with Juniper Networks, we started with Social on Demand, but we also had discussions after the initial pilot, more general discussions around channel communications. And at that point, I met Roger. And Roger, do you want to tell us what happens next?
Sure. Thank you, Olivier. Everyone here knows that communicating with channel partners is a real challenge. The days when a single newsletter can serve all partner audiences are long gone, yet it's costly and time-consuming to produce multiple versions using conventional newsletter tools or agencies. So we were very receptive to learn about a system that would enable us to deliver news to partners based on their location, partner type, roles, training achievements, and interests. As the next slide shows, we were happy to find News on Demand or NOD as we call it, because it enables us to create and send custom newsletters to partners that combine local and global content all on a single cloud-based platform. We can broadcast global news to every partner or restrict it based on nearly any criteria stored in our instance of Salesforce.com. This lets us be consistent in how we deliver messages as filtered by the preferences of each partner contact. On the next slide, let me introduce you to the admin side of News on Demand, where I and other power users like Louise create articles for editions we send every 2 weeks. Now here you're seeing 3 sections of the article create form, where first we specify the audiences either by groups or geographies. Here you see some of the groups we've created. Actually, we create a lot of groups, which is easy to do based on the many partner and contact fields that we pull from SFTC, Salesforce, on a weekly basis. Now, some groups are very granular, like we have one for renewal contacts, which includes about 600 partner contacts who dedicate their lives to administering support contract renewals. So then we get to tag each article with content filters according to the article's content interest area or areas, and you're looking at 6 choices in the middle. And then we set the news type, like sales training, technical training, and so forth. In the next slide, we see lower sections of this article create form, this online form, where we get to make some format choices and set the article's priority, which together determine where the article will appear in our editions. We schedule when the article will be sent, if not in the next edition, and if we want the expiration date set to something other than our 3-month default. So after I enter and approve global articles, the system adds them to the approval queues for our theater leads to edit and approve for distribution in the Americas and throughout EMEA, and also in the approval queues of our APAC regional marketing leaders to edit and approve. We drop immediately into region or area by area in APAC because we found that they're more diverse in their communications requirements, and they have greater translation and localization needs. Unfortunately, the platform is set up to be very flexible in how we organize the workflows, including translation loops. The next slide shows some recent additions which we publish like clockwork every other Thursday morning as 10:30 a.m. rolls across global time zones. And the next slide shows approved articles as accessed through our partner portal, where contacts can view all articles that we've approved for them at any time. Generally, articles are posted to the latest news page in Partner Center as soon as they're approved. These pages that you're looking at are actually hosted on News on Demand servers, but they look like Partner Center pages thanks to single sign-on. As the next slide shows, a key partner benefit to News on Demand is the option for recipients to tag or to opt in and opt out of our various content interest areas. So you're looking at the preferences page that partners can access from links in the newsletters or from links on the homepage of our Partner Center. And if in the middle, if you can see that fine type, you'll see the same content interest areas that we use on the administrative side to tag each article. And then at the bottom, partners can choose how often they receive each type of news, biweekly, monthly, or never. And you may have noticed that on the admin side, we have an additional news type we can choose called assured delivery. That's not an option that we present to partners for them to set their delivery frequency. It's really our backdoor way to make sure critical articles get delivered regardless of each contact's general preferences. It's an option we use very rarely, but it's important to have that. So moving to the next slide, we have lots of ways to measure readership. We measure open and click rates, as well as portal views and clicks per newsletter and article And the stats are broken down by geography and partner types. Our open rates vary between 12 and 35% generally, depending on geography and the type of content. Our click rates can go as high as 12% for our most targeted content. And just in general, we've got hundreds of partners clicking every month. And some articles show really huge click rates. Our best article generated over 1,000 clicks. We've been using the system for 7 months and have identified some further actions we'll be implementing as next steps. Shortly, we'll be taking advantage of a new capability that will enable recipients to share selected news items with their customers by email or their social networks. We're also recruiting more subject matter experts to contribute more local content because readership is often strongest for local content. We need to keep promoting the customization options because contacts who set their preferences are more invested to actually read what we send them. And we should do some list cleaning to target active partners. Currently, we mail to everyone who's a partner contact in Salesforce.com. Well, except for those on the global opt-out list. So we're mailing to contacts who haven't opened our comms in years. We probably should narrow that down. But as those of you who do a lot of database marketing know, we can artificially boost open and click rates to hit almost any number simply by narrowing the audience down to our most fervent fans. So I think the better metric here is really how your total number of clicks are trending, regardless of the number of emails sent. So to wrap up, News on Demand provides benefits to Juniper and our partners because we're delivering 100% targeted content on a consistent cadence using one collaboration platform that accommodates multiple workflows worldwide. And just let me give a shout out to Olivier and his team for the outstanding support they provide. We went through many iterations of how we wanted our contact data organized, and Olivier's team were endlessly patient with us and gave us lots of great advice. And the result is now we've really we have unparalleled flexibility in how we communicate with our partner. So thanks very much, Olivier. Your team's a pleasure to work with.
Thank you very much. Actually, Roger, before we stop, I think you have stopped there. Let me say one thing, something important, which you guys at Juniper has pushed us to do, but I think is very worthwhile, is obviously when all your partner users in the system needs to start on News on Demand, the default settings for them, actually, in the case of Juniper Networks, have been tailored to the job descriptions of the users. So in the absence of knowing what these people wanted, I think you guys did a great job at least guessing what they wanted based on their job title and territories. And the default options you guys saw on the user preferences page are actually tailored for each user's first time they come around. And of course, once they are in the system, they can amend them further. But you guys did a great job there. So I just wanted to say that. Roger, did you have anything else to add?
No, I'm happy to take some questions.
Okay, well, I've got one. Someone actually, very interesting, said, Roger, the new system looks great, and I can tell you're enjoying it. What part do you enjoy the most, and what would you like to achieve really from the platform?
What do I enjoy most? Well, I think the fact that I can log into your system, enter an article, and have it be published and appearing on the latest news section of our portal in just 10 minutes is really great. I mean, I don't think anyone publishes that fast using conventional tools.
Cool. Okay. Well, now I've got another tough questions for you. Now, someone is saying measuring open click-throughs is one aspect, but how is Juniper measuring actual partner engagement? Do you relate your News on Demand analytics with your web portals, partner portals, downloads to give you a better view? Do you know if this is creating essentially actions within your partner portal? Tough question there for you, Roger.
Well, the clicks are almost always to resources in our partner portal. So I think that's a good measurement of the engagement there.
Good, good answer. Okay, someone saying or asking the question, and I think Louise, you can come back on the call as well. Do you consider a mobile app something important for your partners? So let's start with Louise. When it comes to that kind of a co-marketing with your partners and that social demand, do you think the mobile app has changed things? So are people using it versus the web version?
We're still seeing the web version being mainly used, but there is definitely a core group of users that do really value the app, and I think without it we would have a problem because I think they're a core group who is very vocal and growing.
Yeah, good. Now, Roger, do you think it'd be nice to have a mobile app that delivering news that are targeted to your partners?
We've considered that and actually done some surveying of partners, and that was not, there wasn't a real clamoring need for that. I think with the apps, and Juniper does have apps to inform customers and partners, which we're going to be integrating more in with news on demand. But I don't think we want a separate partner app because already there are too many apps in the world, and it's after an initial enthusiasm, interest can drop off quite dramatically. So it's not a slam dunk there.
Okay, that's an interesting one, Roger. Now I'm going to add one thing is for those who may want an app is, and I think I told you before, Roger, is we are working on the API and then on an app for news on demand. You saw the template newsletters that Roger's put together, so you can see most articles, like probably most of your newsletters yourselves, have an image, a title, and the body of an article. And so for us, as you notice, we can already serve those on partner portals. We are looking and working on serving them via a mobile app as well. So, Roger, that's for the future, but we'll see what happens next, okay? One more question, and I think this one goes to Louise. Someone is asking, when it comes to that social syndication, do you see a higher adoption from your partner sales reps, or do you see them from SEs? I'm also going to ask you a question, Louise, because you may not have been clear there. Do you guys internally use it too? So your employees using it as well?
Yeah, no, and we've got three really clear, distinct groups using social on demand. We have the marketing managers at our partners who are using the content on their own corporate networks. And we also have the salespeople at our partners who are using similar content to the marketing managers, but they're sharing it mainly on their individual LinkedIn accounts and to a lesser extent Twitter, but they are active on Twitter as well. And then we have our system engineers audience who they're looking at more technical information clearly, looking at maybe more blog postings, things that give them more thought leadership and credibility, and also looking at maybe some independent content. And they are active on both LinkedIn and Twitter. Obviously not using LinkedIn in such a social selling way. They're more using it as part of a networking type of communication.
Yeah, that's great insight. So actually, from your answers, I think the audience can gather that you can track quite a lot. And someone is just asking a question. I mean, before social demand and maybe now, did you see a difference in terms of the social activities of your partners? And from then on, the question is also, are you helping them beyond the social demand? Are you helping them with maybe some social selling training or some social training? What do you do?
Yeah, social on demand is part of an overall program for us. So we've developed a social media handbook, which we actually distributed to our partners via News on Demand, bringing all of the tools together. Which gave them some clear advice and training on how to use social on demand and social selling tools. We've worked and shared best practice on social selling with our partners, using the best practices that we've developed internally through our own inside sales teams, and we've had sort of done face-to-face training with specific partners to encourage them there. We also integrate with campaigns that we're running. At the moment, we're running a security campaign, and we've got key partners who are participating in that campaign. And we're working actively with the individual accounts to ensure that the salespeople who are using that campaign are also using the social media posts, and messaging is coming through identifiable for them at a regular time, and so there it's complementing an overall program. So yeah, lots of ways we join things together.
Okay, sorry, someone said, are you willing to share that handbook?
I'm sure we probably would be, but yeah, drop us an email.
We'll send you the request. Okay. Now, someone's also asking. You mentioned gated content. So, for those on the call who may not have called that, it's a solutions within the social on-demand platform that enables essentially people like Louise to put some like a first page on the content from the link, and if you're interested, you can download put your information in the information form, and then you can download the rest of the document, and that lead is then captured and passed back to the person who has shared that post. Now, the question for you, Louise, is has this made a big difference with the partners? Are the partners thinking this is worthwhile? Have they received leads?
We do see a small number of leads coming there, but the real difference that gated content has made to our partners is the fact that we are able to share it with them. Because when we as an organisation are developing content that we see as high value, high ticket for sharing, we can't really afford to have it available in the public domain. So if we didn't have the gated content facility on there, the partners wouldn't be able to access and share it at all. So its biggest benefit to us is in the volume of content, in the volume and the type of content that we're able to provide to partners as a result.
Okay, yep, good. Roger, I'm sorry to keep you quiet there, but obviously you've done such a good demo on News on Demand that people have no questions for you right now. So I've got one more for you, Louise. How often do you share content on the social platform, and why did you select that? Is it an internal limitation, or is it because you think that frequency is the perfect frequency for your partners?
I think there's a little bit of both in the whys that we chose, and some of it was around about capacity. But what we basically do is we have a base level of one post per day, which is these are posts that are identified as suitable globally, and then we augment locally. And we, at the moment, we aim for no more than 2 or 3 posts a day, but there have been some really key times, maybe around about some of our big announcements or large-scale events going on, where we've done more than that number in a day. It's just we wouldn't plan to do that too regularly, because you need to balance out the choice of content, but with the ease of use. And if partners have got so much content to look at, they really don't know which is the most important. We're creating an additional task for them. So
yeah, non-stop. Okay, so I think we run out of questions unless someone else. Oh yeah. Okay, Roger, a question just appeared. And by the way, before we answer that question, you can see on the screen a number of events we're organizing, both as part of Pure Channel Apps, but also for those who don't know, as part of the channel meetup, both in UK and in California. So if you guys have time, just look at those, go to the 2 websites, find the details. It's very interesting. Some of those events have been very successful in the past. Roger, interesting question for you. Does your company use another marketing automation system? And how do you use it? And why are you using News on Demand as well?
Well, actually, we've invested very heavily in the Oracle Marketing Cloud, and certainly Eloqua is an email distribution marketing platform that we use along with Channel News on Demand. The benefit with Eloqua is it's tied directly into Outlook, so that we could have a message, say, from a theater vice president to their partners directly that looks like it's directly from their email account, when really it's served by Eloqua. News on Demand has much richer targeting because it's tied so tightly into Salesforce.com, where in Salesforce, we've got partner records that tell us all about the partners and their sales authorizations, and then of course the individual contact records, which include training achievements of individual partner systems engineers and so forth. So they're complementary, and all our opt-outs are based on what's captured in Eloqua. So they're really complementary systems for us.
Good, good. I'm glad you said that, Roger. I'm glad I didn't have to prompt you either, so that's good news. One more question for you, Louise. Someone obviously must know, but there's an automated posting feature enabling partners to auto-post news from you. Are you using that so that partners don't have to log on to the platform to share the post?
We don't by default set that setting, but we do inform our partners about using it. And we do find a small percentage, maybe 10-15% of users will auto-post content, or maybe auto-post on one or two topics. I think the auto-posting is really useful for augmenting your overall social voice, and it's nice to know, if you're really busy, that there's going to be a couple of posts going out when you're not there. But I think we really do believe that making the posts entirely personalised is a real benefit, and something that we really strongly encourage the individual partners to do.
All right, good. And the question just come in again. And by the way, we're going to stop in a couple of minutes after that question, okay? So it's a question for both of you. I'm going to ask you the question. I hope the answer is good. Roger, you can start, okay? Do you consider News on Demand and Social on Demand as expensive additions to your budget, or do you find them cost-effective? And how do you calculate your ROI? And why do you keep Social on Demand and News on Demand? Roger, you start.
Well, I think on a per user, per partner contact basis, News on Demand is pretty economical, and we really don't have a choice. Sending regular news about your products and solutions and marketing resources and sales programs, you have to send that out to partners. So the question is, how are you going to do it? And really, these days, where people have so little time, they must have news that they immediately realize is relevant and valuable to them. So that's where it's so imperative to target as closely as possible to the needs of each partner sales rep and systems engineer. And I don't know of any other platform that lets us target so easily and so deeply.
Good answer, Roger. Louise, for you, Social on Demand, obviously it's maybe considered nice to have, right? You don't have to have it, like maybe Roger has to have News on Demand. For you, is it effective, and how do you measure it?
Yeah, no, I would say it's definitely cost effective, and certainly for us, it's more cost effective than the previous platform that we had. So that's a definite big tick for us. The other thing that I notice about social on demand is that because it really is tailored for the through partner audience, it works in the way that we want it to work. And we know that when we've got requirements, it's likely that other vendors are going to be having similar requirements. And so you do feel that you've got a customized tool when you're using really very much off the shelf package, because it's so close to the audience needs.
Cool. Okay, well, thank you very much. So I'm going to end this call. I would like to thank you all for attending. Roger and Louise, thank you very much for the great insight. As I said, again, for once I'm up here, I didn't have to do very much talking and listen to your presentations. Please feel free to reach Roger and Louise. We will send you the recording. You will see the details. You see mine online. You see the next webinars. You see one about partner portals, by the way, on December 6th. But again, thank you very much for attending. Roger, Louise, thank you very much for presenting. And I wish you all a very nice evening or morning. Thank you.